Welcome to the Real View podcast, where Ohio Realtors connect you to innovators and influencers, keeping you with the real view of real estate. Whether you're a broker, agent, first-time homebuyer, industry leader, or just happen to stumble upon our podcast today, you can expect to hear tips, tools, tricks, interesting information, and so much more from the experts in Ohio's real estate game. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Real View podcast. I am your host, Allison Wiley, and welcome back to our summer series where we are featuring our amazing convention speakers that are going to be joining us at our upcoming convention and expo happening in September in Cleveland. We're so excited to be bringing this series to you guys so you can get to know a little bit more about our speakers and the great value that we've put together for you at this year's convention and expo. So I would like to welcome on one of our virtual speakers, Craig Grant. He is going to be joining us on September 26th virtually for a class all about AI, ChatGPT, and real estate, the law and code of ethics. So we're going to dive into his topic today. And I know you guys know he's no stranger to our Ohio Realtors family. He has joined us on this show before. He has joined us at our conventions many of times. So we always love the opportunity to get to hear from him. So Craig, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And I kind of want to just start at the beginning. And I know, you've been on the show before, you've been in our conferences, but for some of our newcomers and our first time attendees, tell us a little bit about you, about how you got started in real estate, and a little bit about your career journey so far.
Sure. Kind of crazy story. I'm actually in my 20th year of doing this. So I've been speaking in the real estate industry since 2005. So I was there at the start of mobile and social media and everything. And I cover every technology topic. I'm like one of the true geeks that really covers everything. But I was there at the start of all the other topics. I've never seen one explode more, both in interest on the member side and also on the speaking side than AI. It's just it's a great, fun topic to cover. But what I try to do is not just cover the fun parts of it, also cover the bad. Hence why we're going to tie in the code of ethics and everything.
Yeah, no, I think that's really great. That's what I'm excited about. Your presentation is learning what we need to be careful of, right? Because so often, like, technology comes around and we're so excited to start using it, and oh my gosh, it's helping me with so much, and it's doing all this automation, and there's so much benefit of it that we can almost sometimes forget. Like, hey, okay, let's pause. Let's think through this. Let's, let's think about what we need to be aware of. And it sounds like, you are going to kind of go over some of those red flags we should be raising, those, hey, here's what we need to be paying attention to. So I think that's going to be really cool. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, we're going to cover the fun, the shiny parts of AI, but again, so many speakers in the industry and instructors, they're just covering the shiny and they don't teach you about the red flags like you're talking about. And AI can get you in trouble so fast. I mean, it can get you in trouble, just make you look like a fool if you publish incorrect information. You can literally get in trouble with the law or the code of ethics or housing, so many different things. So yeah, we're definitely going to kind of cover that kind of step by step to make sure you don't use it wrong.
No, that's going to be really good to get like practical examples of like, hey, like here's how quick, you can get into trouble with this. And, our code of ethics is so important. And it's one of those things, we live for. So I think tying that into that and making sure we're staying compliant and we're using it in the best way and covering those shiny things while at the same time making sure we're staying compliant. Because it's all changing so fast, right? How are you even as a guru, as someone who, lives and breathes this, how are you keeping track of it all, keeping up with it all, how fast things are changing? Has that been, crazy to manage? What's that been like?
Honestly, I think you just nailed it. It's that I live and breathe it. Because again, I've been doing this for 20 years and my other topics, I maybe update my slide decks once or twice a year. Yeah. I'm literally having to update and change this course topic almost on a daily basis because something new hits. Something new, new improvements, new features, new tools, new vendors, literally on a daily basis in this space. So yeah, it is because I live and breathe it. I'm constantly researching, looking for new stuff. A lot of vendors come to me and kind of pitch me stuff, but it is because I live and breathe the space because there's no way to cover this topic if you don't.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And it sounds like, you're so on top of it that whatever you're going to be presenting to us, in late September will be, the most current and up
Oh
to date
yeah.
information on
Yeah, whatever we talk about today will not be what I in
this.
September. You know what I mean? Because something will come out, something will change.
Because that's how fast, all of this is going. And, I was at a conference a couple of months ago, and they said, even people who are working in AI are just blown away at how fast this is all
Yeah.
moving.
And the scariest part is even the people that own and run these gigantic companies don't understand how it works themselves. They admit they know sometimes these platforms just lie and make things up and they can't figure out why it's happening and can't stop it.
It's so crazy. I can't wait to dive into all of this. And you're going to be, sharing all of this and so much more, when you join
Mhm.
us virtually, which is going to be really, really great and exciting. Tell us kind of just your overall, give us like a 360 view of just real estate and AI and what you've seen so far with
Mhm.
it, and kind of give us just overall your perspective on it as it stands right now.
Sure. And I'll give it both from the good and the bad side. So
Yeah.
I mean, the capabilities of AI in the real estate space are honestly limitless. I always say the only limitation you have is your own personal imagination, because I've tried things that I never thought it could possibly do, and
Mhm.
it pulled it off and pulled it off at a pretty incredible like level.
Wow.
So really, there is no limitations of what you can do with it, but at the same time, again, you can get yourself in trouble very quickly. So I always say anything AI creates for you always treat it as a first draft. You review every detail of it before you publish it. You got to make sure it's grammatically correct, legally correct, doesn't mislead the public and all these other things before you publish. So a lot of people just, oh, I run a prompt, copy and paste, I'm ready to use it. And that's the worst thing you could do. You got to check every detail of it.
So important. And I think that's one of those things that, like, oh great, it gave me this and now I'm copying and pasting and my work is done. And it's like, no, it's not
No, no.
perfect. You still got to go in, double check all of that, and make sure it's truly, what you want it to be and what you're hoping to get out of it. What's some of the biggest, I guess, applications that you've seen from it? I know there's so many, right? And we're just,
Yeah, there are.
but that you've seen in regards to kind of our real estate industry specifically. How have you seen really good examples of usage of it?
So I'll give it both from the user side, like the member side, and
Yeah.
also from the association MLS side, because
Yeah.
there's some pretty incredible tools at both levels. For the member side, like for example, I always say there's two decisions you have to decide to buy immediately, if you don't already have them, which is picking your primary platform, whether it's ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or a few of the other options that are out there, and then combining that with Canva Pro. To me, those two things together is like mind blowing what you can do. And then once you get beyond that, there's some pretty incredible tools depending on what it is you're looking for. So, for example, a lot of stuff is happening in the video space with AI. So, if you're just looking for a fast video editing tool, so you don't have to spend 2 hours putting together a video, there's tools out there like Descript that are pretty amazing. If you're looking for more video creation, like there's a tool that I show called HeyGen that's just mind blowing. It does so many different cool things, right? So again, like to me, you make your first decision, like getting the primary platform, combining it with Canva, and then it's what else do you need in your business? You're looking for an AI assistant that can help you do your job and automate a lot of your functions. Are you looking for video editing? Are you looking for transcribing your calls? Like there's so many different tools that are out there, right?
There's so
So
many.
oh, it's insane. And again, new ones pop up nonstop. And then on the association MLS side, there's some very cool things happening. For example, there's companies, and these are things that the typical realtor member can't use unless your MLS buys them and integrates them. But there's tools like Respi that are literally making entry into the MLS like seconds versus hours just by doing what's called computer visualization, like you're seeing what's in every single picture. And there's tools. No, it's insane. It does so much more than just enter the listing to the MLS. It can do property condition scoring and put together much smarter CMAs and a lot more. And then there's other ones that like literally will scan the entire net. There's one called Property Shield, constantly looking for any inconsistencies in a listing for potential listing scams. So it would tell you as a realtor, hey, your listing is out on Craigslist at a different price point than it is in the MLS. It's
Wow.
out on, Facebook Marketplace as a rental and you have it as a for sale. You know what I mean? So there's so many uses that are kind of happening right now, both on the member side and the association side. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. And, with that being said, I think, for someone who isn't using it or doesn't know, how to begin using it,
Mhm.
how do we dip our toe in the AI water? Like, where do we get started? How can we start taking advantage of this? Because I think for some people, it's like you said, there's so much out there. There's
Yeah.
it's growing so fast, and there's so many different uses. How do we get started? Like, what's the best way to begin using this on a day to day basis?
So first of all, again, I would say start with the two main tools, right? Your main platform, which I usually boil down to either ChatGPT or Google Gemini.
Hmm.
Um, and both of those platforms, I know there's people out there that are teaching very structured way of prompting. The
Hmm.
way I teach it is just very conversational. The same way you would talk to a person is how you talk to it. You don't need a college grade level of education. It's literally just talking to it like a person. And you can pull off some pretty amazing things just with conversational prompting. So I would say just get in there and play around, experiment. And over time, you'll get a little bit more sophisticated and do some different things you didn't think you could do. But honestly, it's just getting in there and playing around is honestly the big thing. And then when it comes to, again, Canva is the other one I always recommend you have to use. And the good news is the majority of the industry is finally adopting and using Canva at a pretty high level. But if you aren't using it, I mean, first of all, Canva's own learning library is pretty amazing. It's called Design School, tons of instructional videos and everything. And it's such a popular program. There's millions of videos out on YouTube and different places to learn how to use it. So those two programs, I honestly say just get in there and play around. Don't be afraid of them. Just get in there and figure them out. And again, it's not like they're very hard to use. And
Hmm.
then once you get out to the other tools, that's a different story. If you want
Yeah.
to have an AI assistant, that does involve a little bit understanding of what you even want your assistant to do and how to get it to do the things you want it to do and stuff like that, right? You want to get into more video creation tools. Again, they're getting easier and easier to use, but that's a different learning curve. But for the main tools, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and Canva, honestly, they're very easy to use. I would say just get in there and play.
Yeah, I think so too. There's no better way than to start other than just diving right in. I
Yeah,
think, and the more you experiment with it, like the more it's learning with you, right? So, like, the
totally.
more you're talking to it, the more it's learning, the more it's
Mhm.
learning you and what you might need. And that's the really cool thing about it is you guys are kind of learning together, the AI and you, right?
And not just that, you can use it to teach yourself.
Yeah.
So, like, you can say, can you tell me step by step how I should do this? And it'll give you the steps you need to do for anything. So, I was talking about like these AI platforms, they can be your tech support, they can be your sous chef in the kitchen, they can be your travel agent, they can be anything, right? But you can literally use it to teach yourself how to use those platforms as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the more you get in there and the more you experience, I think you will kind of learn what works best for you and how it can help you in the best way that you need. And I
Mhm.
think that that's a really cool thing too, is like there's no perfect solution to how you want to use AI. It's going to come down to you. And I think every person's different as to
Yeah,
how they want to use it and how they want to adapt it into, their business practices and what they want to do. And I think that's a really cool thing about it too, is there's so many options and so many different ways that you could take it just depending on you and
exactly.
what you want to do and what you're trying to get help with. And I think
Yep,
that's really cool about
exactly.
it. Yeah. So speaking of the compliance kind of side of things, and we know, the code of ethics gets involved here.
I mean, we're hoping that the companies that run these platforms do the right things, but they really have taken the guardrails off, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's which is just so crazy to think about. And I mean,
It is.
and just because knowing that there's no regulations does not mean it's just a free for all that we should all be using it and there's going to be no limitations on what we can do and we don't have to be aware of what is out there because there's still ways that we can get ourselves in trouble and I think that's what
Oh,
you're
totally. And
trying
I'll just give you a quick example.
yeah.
And I've already seen this multiple times out in the field, like realtors using a tool like ChatGPT for virtual staging, right? They'll upload a photo of a property and say, stage furniture into this room. I can almost guarantee you 99% of the time that's going to be a violation.
Mhm.
Because what a tool like it's really Dolly inside of ChatGPT, it uses image generation. It's trying to do basically custom creation of an image every time. It's called generative AI. So you're going to upload a picture of your property into it, and it's going to purposely change it into a new custom picture. So it might change the flooring material to a material you don't notice. It
Oh,
might move a window to a different spot where it really belongs because it's trying to create a custom image, right? So it's not saying you can't use AI to virtually stage. It's about knowing you got to use the right tools to do it, right? Because using a tool like Dolly inside of ChatGPT or Google Image Gen inside of Gemini will be a violation almost every single time.
Yep. And it's so easy to make mistakes, right? And it's so easy to kind of, get yourselves into these situations. But the more we can be aware of beforehand and learning how to avoid those
Mhm.
situations, the better it can be, and that to make sure we can get the most out of using it in the best way possible. So
Absolutely.
that's crazy. I'm just thinking of this. It's
I
gonna be
mean,
on us, right? And the
we'll
users
see
too.
what happens. I mean, again,
Yeah.
but that was something a lot of people in the tech world were freaking out about.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because it needs to be regulated. Because, I mean, we're going to talk about it just from a realtor standpoint, but I mean, theoretically, if let's just say OpenAI wants to change their rules, you can go in there and use it to write viruses or any kind of like horrible thing, right? Or create a deep fake video of a competitor to ruin their reputation. So yeah, that the lack of regulation, it was already pretty weak to begin with, and now it's going to get even worse. Honestly, our only saving grace is the European Union, because and it's been the same with privacy rights over the last decade, where the European Union has much stricter rules, and therefore companies that operate in Europe have to abide by it.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So most of our companies, big companies we rely on, operate in Europe. So
Uh-huh. All right, maybe more to come on that. We'll see, but we should maybe brace ourselves. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch it all play out, and hopefully we do see some of that regulation, because yeah, we don't need it to be going too crazy or anything,
right.
which can happen very quickly. And one of the things that I've been seeing with Chat GPT, and it's been around a couple of years now, right? It was 2022.
22 it launched, like November 30th, 2022.
Yeah, is that now people are saying like, oh, this is how you can tell it's been written by GPT or something like that. The dashes, I've seen that a lot. Like
Yeah.
people are like, oh, that's we're starting to get even more and more familiar that we are being able to tell when something is generated. What would you recommend to do to and I know you said review everything and
Mhm.
make sure you're looking at it. How do we make sure that we're using it, but it's not, we don't want people to know that we're using it, or that it's
Yeah.
obvious, right? Because I think
Yep.
that's a thing too. How do we navigate that?
So remember I talked about how you always got to treat AI content as a first draft, right?
Yes.
So what I always try to teach is not only treat it like a first draft. I always say AI does 90% of the work. You have to do that last 10%. And
Yes.
that's not just fact checking, make sure their sources are reliable sources and everything. It's also going in there and putting a little bit of your personality into it even more.
Yes.
Yes, these programs learn about you and try to create it in your persona, your personality. But if you go in there and just word it a little bit at the very end and change a few things, it not only makes it where it doesn't look like it was made by AI, but also then hopefully passes detection of AI. Because Google on the search engine side, social media algorithms, they're all looking for fake content now.
Yep. Yep. So true. And it's such an easy thing to do. Like you said, if it's saving you 90% of your work, coming in to do that last 10 is still going to save you a ton.
Way better. It's way better than what we do in our whole lives. We got to finish everything.
Yep, I agree. I agree. Definitely be sure to do that if you're keeping track of the AI. What would you say to people who are coming to your class, who are going to be joining us at convention? What can they expect from your presentation? And as I mentioned, you've been with us before, so many of our members are familiar. But for those who aren't, what can we expect from your presentation, from you joining us online? What should we be prepared with coming into your class?
The newest, best, coolest stuff that's out there for AI, but taught in a way that you'll understand,
Yeah.
not over your head. That's kind of how I try to deliver everything. But also at the same time, I always say I'm not dumbing it down at all. I'm going to bring it to you, the newest, best, coolest stuff. But I'm going to make sure you can understand how to use it properly, the legal and ethical way. And when you go home and to apply it to your business, you're doing it the right way.
Yep. Well, it's going to be an amazing time. Anytime we get to hear from you, Craig, it's always a pleasure, always a great time. And
Appreciate
we
it.
appreciate you joining us. And it is going to be a fun time. And I mean, so much more to come on this too, right? I don't think we're going to have you on to talk about AI with us, and then that's the last we're going to hear about this. I think
No.
this is going to be an ongoing conversation.
It'll be around for a while. I hate to say it.
I think this is going to be a topic that's going to be at every convention. I think moving on out, but we appreciate you. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining
Same.
me. And we're going to see you in September. We can't wait to see you, and we appreciate you and always your time when you come hang out with Ohio Realtors.
Yep. Same.
And to all of our listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back with you next week. See you guys then. Thank you for listening to The Real View. That wraps up today's episode.
You can keep up with the latest on the podcast at ohiorealtors.org/therealview and on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Have questions, comments, or suggestions? We want to hear from you. Email us at podcast@ohiorealtors.org. We'll see you next time.